Donte Hooker here with the 100 Black Men of Greater Charlotte. This is Keeping It 100, and we're going to talk about the impact of AI. I have my panelists with me, and if you can please introduce yourselves.
I'm Elijah.
I'm London.
I'm Jermaine Banks. I've been with the 100 for like 2 years now, so I'm excited to get into this.
All right, we're going to talk about this AI, okay? Right. What I would just say, as you get into AI, understanding it, there's so much out there, right? Everything's AI today.
Mhm.
Now, in your own words, what do you think AI is? And we'll start here.
Like when I hear AI, I normally think of like ChatGPT, robots, photo math, just stuff to do my work, and yeah, movies.
All right, that's good. All right.
When I hear AI, I think of, first of all, artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, Copilot, stuff that makes our lives easier.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just trying to bounce off that, other than the stuff that they already mentioned, when I think about AI, I kind of think about the future, like progression and how like it's crazy how far we've come, like just in technology, like how far technology's coming, that we're developing like something that can just, you can type in something, it can respond like a conversation. So it's very interesting. It's something that's kind of like, I can see why it's a little bit like of a mind boggle, because it's definitely something that I gravitate to with like thinking about, but I also know that it's like something that takes time to go into.
AI really, if you look at it as core, it's a lot. It's everything we do today, right? Series AI, right? When you surf Facebook and social media, it does algorithms to find out what you like and then repeat it back to you. That's also AI. So when you're thinking about AI, it's more than just ChatGPT, right? It's more than just, hey, I'm gonna help do my homework, right? So it's really a collection of data. But now, as we look at it, right, and what it truly is at its core, what do you think about either the positive or negative impacts of AI? I'm gonna start here with Jermaine first.
So yeah, just going into AI, I think that something that's undeniable is that technology is going to you're going to pursue technology. Like technology is going to make room for itself. So I feel like a negative that many people have been happening, because I always like to start off with the negatives and positives, but a negative is just that people don't understand enough. They don't have enough information. And whenever you choose to be ignorant, or whenever you choose to not, because I do think with technology and with classes, I think it is a choice to not want to pursue AI, and I think that you should, because it's the future. So I think the choice of being like less informed about AI is one of the negatives, and just making sure that it's accessible. And then a positive, I do think that it opens up a plethora of like just ideas that you can do with it. I mean, I know me personally, if I ever use AI, it's to bounce ideas off of, because I'm a pretty smart person. So like if I want somebody to bounce ideas off of and there's nobody in the circle, but I want something that's as intellectually stimulating as like I'm looking for, then I might go to AI, because I know that it can give me that, kind of intellectual conversation. Not saying that people can't do that, but just people aren't always around.
It's good. London?
Well, in my opinion, there are a lot of different ways that AI can be beneficial and negative. And one of those negatives is us being AI making us more lazy. Now, I'm not saying that AI entirely is a bad thing, but what I'm saying is that we can't fully depend on AI. And with the positives, it helps us do things from homework all the way to help us build infrastructure, big infrastructure like skyscrapers, and run algorithms for us to safely build those skyscrapers and other infrastructure.
Piggybacking off of London, I definitely like have concern about the negatives, because I do feel like people like use AI for information, but don't take the time to learn it themselves. Because even like in school, for instance, I know people who use ChatGPT for their work. And even though there's like some ways like teachers can like use stuff to like find it out, but I also like feel for the positives as well, because I know that is very like helpful for people. I don't use it like a lot personally. I need to actually start doing my research more. Because I don't, as Jermaine said, I don't want to be ignorant. With like society advancing. Yeah.
I think that's good, right? And there's a person who in my day-to-day uses AI for what I do for work as a software developer and architect. I think the biggest thing to understand is what you've all said, right? What you all have said. Really, it should enhance what you already know, right? You should not depend on it, but use it to help you.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is, London, you said lazy, right?
Yes.
People want to use ChatGPT and I want to write a whole book, right?
Mhm.
I know nothing about this topic. I'm just going to throw it in there. Now, you may get some pointers, you may get some help and assistance. It's not all negative. But I think that's very good and very well pointed that you all said that, hey, don't be lazy. I really inspired us.
100%.
One thing that I would say is as you see these things, AI go on in movies and they give us this fear for those who are older in the room and watching, right? We had this movie called Terminator, right? Terminator,
Yeah.
Skynet. And, oh, I'm glad you know this because I don't feel that old,
Yeah.
right? So Skynet took over the world, artificial intelligence, right? So the thing is, as we go into these ages and this fear, right? I think y'all touch on that. So if you could touch on a little bit more about how scary you think it may become as we get into self-driving cars, right? Self-flying planes. So what do you think? I'm going to go with you, London.
Well, there was an example of a self-driving car that went haywire, and a guy was stuck inside, and it wouldn't unlock the doors, and it would just keep going in circles and circles. So I think, probably like a lot of safety concerns, especially with cars, because it, in my opinion, uh, an AI is not gonna like do things that a human might do. And like check for like at a stoplight, it may stop and it may scan around it for cars. But what if there's like a really fast car coming by and it doesn't pick up on its radar and it starts pulling off from the stoplight? Then what? Or for self-flying planes. Now, from what I understand, planes already have a lot of technology in them, along with autopilot and stuff. And I think that, and I'm pretty sure that's AI, but the pilots can always override the autopilot. And if there's no pilot there, then what? And the plane just starts veering off to the left, then what? And the programming doesn't catch it, then what?
True. We'll go with you, Elijah.
Me personally, I don't trust any of it.
You're skeptical, huh? You like one of those like stay in your bunker, like if you in the woods.
I feel like it's like good to have it, but there also needs to be like precaution when using it. Uh, Definitely, I feel like there should be a pilot, for instance, in a plane. Because it going AWOL is not it, and like for speaking for robots, for that, I feel like people are mainly like afraid of them taking over, but I'm like, if we don't give them emotions, I don't really think they're going to want to do that.
I got a lot to say about that, but I'll let you go. Go ahead.
Yeah, but well, I did see like a conversation of a person having like a talk with ChatGPT, and like it's curious. And that's like it was low-key a little weird because it was like he was talking to an actual human being.
Right.
And yeah, I'm like, that's scary to me. Because shoot, anything could happen, you know.
True.
I just think that this topic is just so multi-factor. Like there's just so many different parts to it. Like there's
Exactly.
so much that's coming up to my mind, but
100%.
I'm gonna try to keep it narrow. So like with this, for me, I think that it all starts off with people not really knowing the origin of AI. Because I think that right now a lot of the fear comes from, oh, it's just this sudden thing that popped out when AI has really been popping like from way back. And so like, and people don't understand that. And like, so it's coming from a lack of information. And I think that people also are afraid of how much AI knows, because knowledge is scary whenever somebody knows more than you. And we're in an environment like if I'm in school and Tim over here, he knows more than me, he's getting all the questions right, I get a little bit nervous because like, oh, this isn't a good look. I need to know a little bit more. And so I think it's the same on a much bigger scale with AI, where it's like AI is the Tim and they know more than you, and that makes you
Mm.
scared. That makes you nervous because you don't want to be in a position where you feel like technology has more power than you do. So I do think it comes down to a situation where people are afraid of being outworked, outmaneuvered, outplanned by technology, and they don't want to lose something that they feel like they've committed their life to. Because honestly, I mean, you look at the past, people have been working, it's like if I work in a lab my whole life and then technology comes in and they do what I've been doing my whole life, I would be searching for a new purpose because that was my whole life. And that's a scary thought. And
Yes.
so I think that that's where a lot of the fear comes in. But I think that whenever you try to stop technology, it makes its way in destructive ways. And so I don't think you can stop it because it's going to come in a destructive way. I think you have to let it move forward and progress in a way that you can somewhat control. I guess that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. I mean, if you look
Great
at it
analogy
just
too.
over time. Oh, wait, you want to say something?
I was just saying great analogy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely great analogy. I just think over time, as we see these things as we get older, you're going to see technology always have changed the way we do things, right? So when you look at, years ago, right, flying wasn't a thing. It was the train. So flying was a new thing. That was new technology. People were scared, fear of flying. Now we get on a plane in a minute, right? It's easy to get on a plane. That's how we travel across the globe, is getting on a plane. So I think the thing is, as you're saying with the fear, it's always fear of the unknown, but regulations, which will help you, right? Regulations would help the fear that you may have of using it, but understanding how it could assist you rather than prohibit you. But it always has to be some type of limitation, right?
Yes.
So I'll shift gears a little bit, just small,
Yeah.
because you all are high schoolers, yeah?
Yeah.
So what I want to ask more is about school. So we touched on it a little bit earlier about school and using ChatGPT. I think there's a math AI that you both, or all three of you said. So how are you thinking about it with school when you like college, high school? What do you think those impacts will be now? Is it going to prohibit the learning, or is it going to enhance the learning, and how?
For me, I feel like it's definitely on the type of person. Because I'm like, people use it to like learn stuff that they don't know, like with photo math, because it tells you like how to solve the problem that you're like taking a picture of. But some people just use it to get the easy grade and pass. So like doing that in high school and then moving to college, it really depends, because I don't think you're going to be able to use AI for every single thing in college. Yeah.
You should not.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. Because I'm like, this is gonna be your future. And if you're not personally smart, I'm like, it's not gonna benefit you at all.
Right. Like you got to retain it yourself.
Yes. It
Very good.
definitely depends on the student and and definitely how they're using it. Because I know a couple friends, they use ChatGPT to solve math, or Copilot is another one,
Yeah.
to solve math problems, to write them papers, but they never take time to check back on those facts that the AI is giving them, or even putting some of their own input. Because Copilot, it makes sure it humanizes the answers that it gives you. And so I feel like people don't really check, the students or friends that I know don't really check back on it, or on if it's actually factually correct, or if if they're even putting their own input into it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And I would just also say, from a school perspective, I think it goes a little bit back to what I was talking about earlier, where it's like you can't stop the progression. Like if this is something that's gonna be accessible, I mean, it's just hard to put guidelines on something so expansive. And AI is really so like it's like we can't be like, okay, you can use it to check your grammar, but not to like, okay, but the grammar is also a part of the learning process. So it's just
Yes.
like it's kind of like it's hard to put on guidelines on something so expansive. Now, I do kind of agree with what you were saying, where it's like it does depend on the person and how they use it,
Yes.
but it's just impossible to be like, all right, well, if I use it this way and they use it that way, how do I like assure that we both are using it the same way. And then,
Yeah.
so for me in a school setting, I mean, I've seen people, like Linda said, I've seen people cheat, but I've also seen people use it just to, like me, bounce ideas or even possibly just check their grammar, like I mentioned earlier. So, I mean, it has its purpose when it comes to a school setting, just because I do think that sometimes teachers don't always get to individualize their lesson plan to each student. Like, I can't make sure that if I'm a teacher, I can't make sure that every student understands if they don't speak up. And so I think that that's when AI can be helpful, because I have seen AI that really, like you said, breaks down the problem. And whenever people see it broken down like that, they can sometimes understand better, or they can go back to their teacher and ask clarifying questions.
Yes.
I think for me, it's enhancing, right? It's a help,
100%.
right? It'll help you, right? But if that's your sole source, I think London, you was talking about that. That's the
Yes.
only thing you do. You're not really trying to learn it.
Mm.
Then it's a problem, right?
Yeah.
So
Can I
Go
ask
ahead.
you a quick question?
Go ahead.
How can we make sure the enhancement is still natural and like kind of isn't so much of a thing where it's like, all right, I give you like a trash essay and I'm like, enhance it. And like versus like somebody like being like, all right, well, this is what I have working on. How can we make this better? And then like, so I guess how can we use AI in an ethical way?
I mean, to me, it's about integrity,
Mhm.
right? I mean, there's a lot of things you could do to cheat in multiple ways. AI is just one. I'll give you an example. When I was in school, very little while ago, you know, calculators was a thing. You know what I mean? The new graphic calculator. I was in advanced trigonometry, having problems, you know, and I could just press some buttons.
She was calculators?
You know what I'm saying? And, you know, a chat GPT calculator, you know what I mean? And I got the answers like, oh yeah, but I had to show my work.
Yeah.
See, but now today you'll get that work. So the difference to me, and I think the biggest thing to answer your question directly, it's integrity, right? You need to understand what you're doing. You need to know that, hey, I just need to get this help, but I need to go back and learn it. See the thing? Go back and learn it. When you get to college, you know, yeah, I can have him write all my papers if I want to, but then someday you're going to go to work and you have to show and prove that you know what you said you know.
Mhm.
And if you don't, guess you're going to do, either not going to have the job or you're going to have a hard time on the job. Right?
Yeah.
So I think it's the biggest thing is the enhancement is integrity. And then also you want to know it for yourself,
Yeah.
right? When you play video games, you can just watch the video game. You can just watch it. You don't have to play. You can let it go by itself and watch the whole demo, right?
Yes.
But you want to play, control it. So have self-control,
Mhm.
right? And do it that way.
Yes.
So I think that's the biggest thing. That's just my answer. Good question.
Mhm.
I think overall, just for me, AI, I mean, being a technology person, right? I enjoy seeing the future. I love computers. I love everything about them. I have no fear. No fear is not the best thing. I have little fear.
Mhm.
And the fear I have is for you all, right?
Mhm.
I don't want you to lose yourself into a computer, right?
Mm.
Computers, I drive a electric car, right?
Mhm.
I enjoy it, but at the same time, I'm like you with it. It will not drive for me ever, right? So I have the fear, but at the same time, I like all the nice doohickeys, and that's a very technical term. Doohickeys is right. I have all the nice stuff in my car that I deal with. So in your everyday life, as you're dealing with things, what do you really say? Like I say, just your overall statement of AI. I kind of get where you three are going. I have fear, kind of in the middle, proponent, right, of AI. So I would just say, if you wanted to sum up AI in your own words, what it does to your life today, yours, not in the environment, your life, what would you do? I want to go with Jermaine first.
Oh, dang it. I think if I had to use one word, I would say it propels. I would say it propels for me, because I think that just by the way that I use it, my personal integrity, I don't use it to cheat. I mean, that's just like, I'm being honest. Like, I don't use it to cheat. I do use it to like, if I need, like I said before, ideas or like help bounce like my own ideas and help flesh it out a little bit, I might use it to that, but I don't like put in the answer. I think that, like you said, it is an integrity thing. Like, you do have to have your own personal control. And I think that another additional fear for AI is that it might get your information. And so that's like a whole entire another side tangent to it that like people are like terrified of, is that AI might get my information. And I think that, I mean, I don't think people understand how much information is already accessible due to standard technology. By going on Google, you can find out information. There's a site online that if you put in somebody else's like student ID number, you can find out like their address and that kind of stuff. So like, I mean, standard technology is just a lot. It has a lot of that accessibility, but I think that people tend to look for somebody to blame. And I think right now, since it's like AI seemingly has sentience, even though it doesn't, but even though it seemingly has sentience, there's someone to blame. They see a target, and they're kind of like, okay, well, I see something. This feels creepy. I feel unsettled by this, so let me go for that.
In my day-to-day life, I don't directly use AI. I think I've touched ChatGPT or Copilot like once or twice. But just like scrolling on like TikTok or social media and stuff, that's how AI sort of impacts my life. I don't use it that much. I don't really touch it. Um, and it is all about work ethic, and I feel like if I don't understand something, I'll ask my teacher or I ask a friend that can help me understand, and I can't just solely depend on AI to help me understand. Now, I'm not saying that AI is not going to help you understand it all. I'm saying that you should also learn to ask questions, learn to ask people questions.
Absolutely.
For me personally, I don't really use it. The only forms of AI I would use is probably TikTok. And that's the only way I really use it. I just recently downloaded ChatGPT. And like I was just talking to it, because I was bored. I ain't gonna lie.
That's all right with that.
Yeah, but that's the only time I've really used it.
I would just tell you this. I probably use it every day, not in the sense of working for me, right? But it's just because of the nature of what I do. I would just tell you specifically is don't fear the future. Embrace it. Your job will depend on it someday. Don't fear the future, right? And don't be too much into it. Yeah. No, but all jokes aside, just understand that what we have here, right? This podcast, what we have everywhere, right? Just whatever you have, your phone, right? Any technology is not to always be feared, it's to be understood, right? Understand what your constraints are, understand what the integrity about it is, understand how you can use it, propel yourself forward. It's not all bad, it's not all good,
Yeah.
right? Find that sweet spot, right? Understanding what that is. I think the biggest thing to where we all can learn from, just anything, right, that we do is just to understand it, right? Understand it first. So do your research, right? Do your research. Know what it is, right? And understand it. Thank you for joining again. I am Donte Hooker.
Elijah.
I'm London Moss.
I'm Jermaine Banks, and this has been Keeping It 100.